In this video, my guest Eleanor Hugland and I are going to talk about what makes companies great, what make them investment worthy, and what kind of investors and how you want to attract into your business. Brilliant. What do I need to know, do, be at a stage in order to even have a conversation that has a chance of leading to a positive outcome with an investor?
The way that we think about it, and the way that I've seen a lot of folks think about it within the industry, is that before you go looking for investment, you need to make sure that you have done everything within your power that you don't need extensive amounts of capital for before you even have that conversation. If there is customer conversations that you can be having, if you can create mock-ups, if you can get pre-orders, if you can run a crowdfunding, like there are so many things that you can do before you even get to investors. And most investors, especially in the early stages, are looking for something that has been de-risked in some capacity. To prove you have product market fit, it's going to take years. But inklings of product market fit you can show when you have conversations with customers. If you truly have product market fit, they will not just say, "Oh, that's a really great idea. I love what you're doing." Because that's the kind of like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. It seems fine, but I would never buy it. But what you do want is them trying to kind of like rip the product out of your hand, basically. Like, give that to me, give it to me now. I need it. I've needed it for years. That kind of like pent up demand is truly an indicative of like a product market fit. And you can see that in various different traction numbers. And that's some of the things that we look at when we are looking at tractions. What have you accomplished to date?
What else do I need to bring to the table if I want to talk to an investor?
From a tactical perspective, you would need to bring a pitch deck, probably a 2-page and then kind of a longer form type of executive summary or business plan, quick blurbs about different pieces of your business, as well as your financials lined up. The reason to have those lined up before you go to your investors, and they will change as you go through multiple conversations with investors, is just that it speeds up the process and it makes you seem very professional when you are in communication with the investors. Because when they say, "Send me your financials," it doesn't take you 2 weeks because you're on Googling how to make financial projections. I think that what I have learned through my experience and through talking with many founders and investors is that it has to connect with their story, their identity, their narrative. It needs to be something where they want to be a pioneer in that area, or they understand it deeply from a personal perspective. That when you can make that connection, it's instantaneous. The way that these kind of bonds or relationships are formed, it's just kind of like, yeah, we've known each other for maybe a couple of weeks, but I'm going to have your back. I'm investing my money and I will be there for you throughout the whole process. And it will be bumpy, but I'll be there the whole way. If someone is going to be investing time and money in your company, they want to know that you are willing and able to put in the time and effort to actually start that relationship off on a good foot. Everybody has their own red flags, and there are a ton. You can take every single part of your business and shove a red flag in it, and there are a billion. A couple of the really common ones would be around competition. A lot of folks are like, "Oh, I don't have competition." But even if don't have a technical competition, like there's not a company out there doing exactly what you're doing, you have competition. Another big red flag is kind of when you go to investors, you have to explain use of funds and what you're planning on doing with that. A big red flag there is kind of, we're going to quit our jobs and we'll pay for salaries. And that's like what we're using it for.
Yeah.
And some investors are fine with that. Most investors are kind of like, show me something that's going to grow the business, not something that's going to support your lifestyle. So that's another red flag that is seen pretty commonly.
What are the key components that people need to thrive for in order to build a great company, which, in addition to the fact it's going to be a great company, will increase chances of actually raising money later on to grow faster?
There are so many ways to be a great company. So I'll try and kind of explain a couple of ways that I've seen. I think that The companies that I admire most that I've worked with are ones in which the CEO, the team, and the company vision are all aligned. They know what they're doing, they know why they're doing it, and then they know how they're going to do it. It's beautiful to watch. It's not super common when you're in an early stage because sometimes you don't have a team, sometimes the market is against you. Like there are all sorts of factors that can disrupt that. But when it happens and it's kind of all aligned all the way down, it's beautiful to watch. Other things that make great companies, hard work. Like when you can see that the company, maybe even if they're like up against the world, you can see that they're willing to kind of put in the effort. That's the kind of thing where, you know, even if that idea is not going to work out, even if that market's not going to work out, that team will stay together. They'll be able to conquer one of the problems that they set their mind to. And that's also, I think, a mark of a great company. Usually there's one piece of it that is pretty solid. Maybe it's the CEO's personal vision and mission, and then kind of trying to figure out how to communicate that from the internal to the external, how to get people to rally around that. You just have to keep kind of saying it out loud and hearing feedback and changing it or updating it or figuring out what's effective, what helps create that kind of external message that other people can internalize from your internal. And then those folks within your team infuse the company with that message by living it.
The other thing you talked about that I think that is critical beyond the vision and mission is clarity and transparency. I find that very, very important. And I find that a lot of companies, and especially as you grow bigger, people are like, oh, no, I'm not going to share the finances with every employee of the company. It's such a huge, amazing force in getting everybody together. Everything the company is doing across any channel, dissect the data, like all the data that was available to us as executives was available to every single individual in the company. And some people say, you guys are crazy. That's like calling for breach, but it worked because everybody feels a part of it. When you tell somebody that's what's going on, they're like, oh my God, really?
Yeah, you want to make everyone feel like they're an owner. And to do that, they need to understand the full scope of the business. And I love that. I've seen a couple of companies do that where they share all the financials. And I've seen a couple companies that do that particularly well, also educate their members, especially the ones who aren't necessarily as financially savvy, so that they can understand and engage with the financials. And they don't just look at it and go, that number is red, that must mean bad. It's like, no, that's good because we've invested in this way. And here's how everything kind of fits together. And I think that kind of brings everyone, like you said, up to the same level so that they can all engage as equals.